I think we're live. Hey everyone, this is Mike, co-founder of Hummingbot, and we're here with another live stream to showcase the capabilities that we continually add to the open source project every month. So recently we've really tried to incorporate more of kind of AI interfaces into Hummingbot because as you guys probably know, Hummingbot is an open source framework that people use to build all types of algo trading and market making strategies in crypto. The reason why people use it is because it integrates to many of the exchanges and blockchains that are in crypto. And so if you're an engineer or a trader, instead of trying to kind of like build every single integration under the sun, instead you can just build it off of the open source framework that we've developed. But I think that over the years, Hummingbot has gotten pretty complex. And so what we found is that if we add kind of like some of the latest AI stuff like MCP servers and kind of testing it and get it configured correctly, I think AI can really help expand the capabilities and making it easier for people to use Hummingbot to discover new strategies, explain what they are, and also automate kind of basically agents that are going out there and doing things. So if you guys caught the last week's live stream, last week we basically did the first two. So we set up the environment using Hummingbot API as well as MCP. So what that means is now on my local computer, I have running the API here. And so the API has a bunch of capabilities from you can add credentials to various accounts. You could inspect various like exchange connectors, both DEXs and SEXs. You can see your portfolio. You can trade. You can add and remove liquidity positions. And you can also control and run bots. So it's kind of like the command center for all of your trading operations. You can host it locally like I've done right now. But also the way that most professional people use it is they host it on a server. So, but I think the question is, how do you actually take full advantage of all these capabilities? You could build an application that takes advantage of it, but what if you're just an individual? What if you just want to use it? Maybe you're on the go and you want to try to figure out what's happening to your portfolio. Can you use the API in that matter? And I think that's where MCP comes in. So what we did last week was we set up an environment. So we use Docker, I think, to do this. And so with Docker, and the reason we use Docker is because Docker has this MCP toolkit that allows you to, let me open the dashboard here. So last week we just went to this MCP toolkit and we installed the Hummingbot trading MCP server. This we call it trading agent. It's the name. And then after we installed the Hummingbot server, then we gave access to it to all the clients that are out there. So that's why I think this is actually the easiest way to integrate everything, because based on whatever AI client you use, you can just connect your Hummingbot MCP server to it. So that's what I've done. So that's just a quick recap of last week. And so what that means is now when I go to my Hummingbot API folder, and I try to make sure Claude, make this a little bigger, Claude MCP list, and I can see, yes, I do have the Hummingbot server here that I connected. And so that means that when I go into Claude, I can say what tools are available in the Hummingbot MCP server. And then it's going to go off. It'll check the MCP server. Actually, and first I think it has to kind of get the right name, and now it'll find the tools that are available, and I can call those tools. Now I use Claude Code because I'm just comfortable using it. I've been using it for the last 6 months for Hummingbot development. But before that, I used Cursor. Some folks on our team also use Gemini by Google. And overall, we found that the experience is very similar across all of them. The power of AI is the fact that you could just kind of talk to it and have it do stuff for you instead of trying to, figure out some complex, code base or some complex application. And I think that's also I think the main benefit of using MCP with Hummingbot as well. It's kind of like instead of learning and trying to use all these different API endpoints, you could totally do that. Instead, you could just talk to your AI and have it do stuff to call those endpoints for you on your behalf. So now you're probably asking, is that an agent, right? Are we building, like, how close are we to building an agent? And that's where I would say, before we get into it, I want to actually just reflect a little bit on this blog post that Anthropic published recently. I think this just came out yesterday. And it was about how they disrupted an AI orchestrated cyber attack that was hitting a lot of kind of like aimed at targeting a lot of like key US based government servers. And they believe it was sponsored by a Chinese state actor. So not going to get into the politics of all of this. I don't understand, really pay attention or care. But I think it's actually really interesting the way that they described how the perpetrators try to attack, how they use Claude Code, and really the process, like the phases that they set up in order to basically make this attack happen. And the reason I found this blog post really interesting is that I think one common misconception that people have when they start to build agents is that what they try to kind of build this like magical agent that is kind of replace what a human can do, and they expect it to kind of just go off on its own and do stuff for you. But I think I would say, if you actually get into the weeds of it and you actually try to build an agent that's going to go off and do stuff for you, I think you'll find that it is very much an iterative process. It's not like you go from 0 to 1. Instead, it's kind of like you start with a very manual human operation, and you kind of use AI to kind of like help you initially just explore the space, conduct, you kind of like try to automate individual actions initially, and then after some period of time, then you can add more and more kind of complexity into it. And then eventually there is some type of automation that can happen where now it's going to go off and do strategies, do things on its own. But the human is always very much in the loop. The human, and I think I would say the process actually is very time consuming, because you're trying to kind of eliminate yourself from the process and have the agent operate on its own. But the reality is, it's like the agent's not going to know how to do that without messing up. And so it's kind of like that's actually why I think if you actually look at the description of this process in terms of how the cyber attack people did it, it's like the first thing they did, they just basically explored the space using Claude Code. They use MCP servers to kind of scan what attack vectors are available, find data, just basically collect data, and so that was basically phase 1 and 2, was basically essentially just data collection. And then phase 3 was about kind of trying to identify what vulnerabilities were out there. And so this is where the code that they were running were probably a little bit more agentic. It would try stuff, validate if it worked, and then report back to the human operator if it worked or not. So that's what they call this exploitation tool. But note that it says the human reviews the findings and directs further action. Because, and this is actually something that I'm very familiar with, having tried to automate lots of stuff with Hummingbot over the past few months with AI, which is AI is going to start off in a very dumb way. It's very, very stupid. And it's like you're going to always have to kind of correct it, add some more kind of intelligence, or add some more things to your prompt, and then it'll get kind of better and better. And then finally, at at phases 4 and 5, that's when this tool, I think, has kind of grown to a point where it can actually do stuff on its own. It can kind of self-heal. It can kind of access more and more of this. Now what we're building is obviously not a cyber tech bot, but I think the overall kind of premise is the same in that what you want out of an agent is something that can eventually kind of like act on its own. But in order to get that thing to actually act on its own, there is this kind of non-avoidable manual, / human in the loop phase where it actually feels like you're not making much progress, because most of the things you're doing initially with the agent, it's like you can just do yourself, more easily. But the key, I think, it's kind of like you want to use AI for what it's really good at, which is initially it's about exploration. The AI can find and can just process a lot more data than a human can. And so in the early phases, what you're trying to do is leverage that. In the middle phase, once you've kind of identified what your strategy will be, then it's kind of like creating simple versions of this like strategy that the agent can run, kind of determine if it works, and report back to you. So that's I would say that's kind of like creating a script, or like it's almost like a Hummingbot script kind of idea, where it's a very simple basic strategy that all you just want to do is get some input on. In phases 4 and 5, that's when you're actually kind of like you're ready to create the real thing. So that's almost like in Hummingbot, that's where you've tested out your basic agentic approach, and now you're ready to create like a strategy controller, with a real kind of application on top of that you can kind of ship and use. So I say all this is to kind of like where we are in the process of creating this DEX agent is actually more like, in the initial phases, because where ideally we do want to have something that's going to go off and run on its own. But before we do that, we need to make sure that it works in a very simple form. So I think last week, what we did was we basically just defined the strategy, and we kind of like basically defined the basic strategy, which was to collect, fees by providing liquidity, and specifically providing liquidity to kind of, coins that are new, that are not yet traded on a centralized exchange, and where a lot of the action is happening on concentrated liquidity exchanges like PancakeSwap. And so the thesis was, if you go to PancakeSwap and you just find the highest yielding pools, a lot of these pools do have rewards from Cake. And so if we can earn the swap fees and harvest the Cake rewards in these like lower, kind of like smaller coins, then we could kind of constantly stay in the range and just try to harvest the fees. So it's actually a pretty simple strategy. It's not, we're not doing anything complex. We're just trying to find the highest APR pools out there, create positions in them, and then try to keep them, in range. Will this strategy work? Well, maybe not. I have actually been running the strategy myself, just manually over the past few months on higher quality tokens, and I have earned a decent APR. But I'm actually not sure if you go into the smaller coins, you try to create like very narrow ranges, and if you're doing a lot of rebalancing, will the fees and the rewards make up for your impermanent loss and your transaction costs? I'm actually not sure. So that's actually why I think there's some experimentation that needs to happen before you actually spin up an agent and just have it run on its own. But last week actually we did actually kind of use we were able to successfully use the MCP server to open and close positions on PancakeSwap Solana. So I think today what we're going to do is we're actually going to try to automate this process. I've created a script that will kind of monitor a position and try to kind of like essentially continue to make sure that your capital is in range even if the price moves. So I think the main thing we're going to do today is kind of test out, can we get our AI to actually run the script and use it. Okay, so the one thing to note here is that I do think transaction costs matter a lot. So last week I think what we did was we were using the OR pool. So I think we were creating positions in this position in OR. Now I will do that again, but I'm actually going to show you why I think is not a great idea and why I think we should probably move to using something like Meteora. So let's go ahead and actually, let me show you. So basically, we were using the SOR oil pool, and the thesis was that because the TVL here is very low, and there's about 56 cake in weekly rewards paid to this pool. So it's kind of like this $900 of TVL is going to share $130 of rewards on a weekly basis. You know, so how much is that? It's not. This is very small numbers, but it's kind of like, let's say I put $100 into this pool. That $100 will now be 10%, and now I should expect 10% of this reward pool plus the swap fees. And so, so it's kind of like if I can earn an additional kind of like, if I put $100 in, and I'm actually getting another, let's say, I expect $10 in rewards at the end of the week. Now it's like that $10 reward is a pretty big percentage of my capital, and now I can really rely on the rewards to supplement any losses I have. So this strategy sounds good, but I discovered some issues with it, and so let me actually illustrate through MCP kind of like why we actually might want to do something slightly different here. And let me switch to the two pane approach. 1 second, and I'll do this. Okay. All right. So we still have this OR pool. So the first thing we're going to do is let's just try to make sure we can create a position in this OR pool using MCP, and so that we can basically kind of operate. So first, let's see if we have this pool here, and we can save this pool, or if we don't. So let's check our balances. What do I own in my Solana wallet? By the way, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. I think everything we're doing with MCP and liquidity provision is still very nascent. So I think a lot of what I'm doing is really just trying to explore the MCP space, trying to understand what can and can't be done, and also try to kind of do this. Okay, so here's what I have in my Solana wallet. Okay, great. Okay, actually, I think I have other tokens as well. So let's see, I have tokens also. Help me add the OR token to the Solana list. So this is actually using a pull request that we have right now in Gateway, and the reason is because it has it has this pool. We added this kind of find functionality that will identify kind of find tokens using CoinGecko. So let's see. Yeah, and that's why it's a little bit okay. Yeah, because I'm using a pull request here. It's a little bit different, I think. 1 second. There's an issue with token list endpoint. Yeah, sometimes like there's a. What's going on here? Okay, 1 second. Sorry. No, this is sometimes So sometimes this is kind of it can't figure it out for some reason. So let me just do it manually, because basically, right now I have the API running on, and the API also has started a gateway container over here, and so this is a gateway container. Let me actually see how come I don't have any. Let me just pull my Solana balance and see what we have here. Okay, so yeah, I think I do need to add the Sol token. Let me actually add the Sol. Oh, this is actually an old version, I think, of the repo. Actually, I don't. Why did I have this? This is interesting. Okay, yeah, this is interesting how we don't have this. Okay, 1 second. Let me just. Yeah, part of it is like I think we're just trying to get the Anyway, so this is the find token, okay, and then I should have this one here. Okay, so it exists already. So okay. Okay, so let's see. Estimate balances. I think I need to find it here automatically. Huh. Did I send them? Yeah, it does some OR tokens here. I don't have any OR tokens here. Okay. Yeah, this is a little bit weird. Okay. Let me actually stop gateway. Give me 1 second here. I mean, this is, yeah. Sometimes, like, yeah, this is just not going well. 1 second. No, yeah, Fade. Yeah, no, it's just something else. It's like this is like an old version of Gateway because like, these are actually not the right endpoints. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I was trying to update the Gateway image earlier. I'm actually using a local version, but it's like something's like not right because like I've actually changed the endpoints already in my PR, but yeah, this is like a different issue. I think that 1 second. Let me just try something else here. Okay, I'm actually gonna do some sub operations here manually. 1 second. Yeah, because you can always edit the tokens here. So yeah, so I do have the token here that we added last time. We also have the pools, I believe. Yeah, we also have the pools. So there's something happening. I don't understand why I can't get the it's like not fetching the balance. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the other thing I want to do is add the pools in. So yeah, basically just to I'll just do it manually. Okay. All right, we're gonna add the orb pool here and interact with the pool on Meteora. And the reason is because just to not to give away, what I found was transaction costs on PancakeSwap Solana are actually really high because when you they use like this NFT based approach for positions. So when you create a position, you get an NFT, and then when you close a position, you burn that NFT. So because of that, you're actually losing like I believe like 0.1 Sol on every time that you kind of rebalance. Because to rebalance, there's no other way other than kind of like you have to basically close the position and then reopen a new one in order to set new price ranges. So that's why I would say I think like when I was testing the strategy out, I realized was you actually don't want to run any type of HFT LP strategy on PancakeSwap Solana because pretty much anything where you're gonna incur like $10 to just rebalance is probably not gonna make sense initially. you're probably better off running a stream strategy on Meteora, which is basically essentially free to open and close positions. So because of that, it's like, yeah, I'm actually gonna use the the OR Sol pool in Meteora to do this, because I think overall it's like it'll be, you know, we want to start from a position where we can actually make money, and so I think, yeah, like it would not make sense to run this any type of automated strategy on Pancake unless we're dealing with like something like $1 million in terms of like notional. So that's why if we're starting with a smaller amount, it's probably gonna make more sense to run the same strategy on Meteora. So let's find the right pool. Let's find a pool here on OR. I'll just pick the most liquid one here, and then we can kind of go with that one. So yeah, the CoinGecko integration that I added should actually make this process easier, because you know we're essentially just copying data from Meteora here. But I think, yeah, this should allow us to kind of use a pool, like, yeah, kind of basically use this pool and provide liquidity and not have to incur. Okay, so let's go ahead and yeah, start the gateway container again. I think there are some issues with the version of the container that I'm running, but yeah, like actually, oh, I see why. This is why. Okay, stop the container. I know why. Okay, got it. Start the gateway with image. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I can update this. Here, let me actually do this. I know. Okay. I think I updated this repo. Let me just make sure. I think I updated this repo just now. So. Oh fuck. What is going on here? What is this? Okay. Yeah, the reason is because it's pulling the this image. Yeah, I wanted to use a different image. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna build this Docker image and use it. Basically, yeah, with MCP you can pass. Now, let's see. So now I believe we should be able to pull this in. Let's see. So we have PR. Okay. Yeah. So we have this gateway. We have. I'll just do this manually. So yeah, let's go to gateway here and start the image and make sure that we have the one that we actually just built. So yeah, so this one, which is one that we just built, should work. So let's try that. Okay. So now if we go here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's try it. Okay. Yeah. There's some errors. There's some issue. I need to figure out what the issue is. I don't know what the issue is actually. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and let's try to do this manually first. Okay. So So first, let's see if we have the right balance on our OR tokens. So I'm gonna do this manually, and I'll do the same thing using MCP. But basically, what we're gonna do is first we want to check our balances. So let's see if we have some of the OR token that we will need. Okay. Yep. So we do have 0.5 Sol, and we have about 0.3 OR right now in our wallet. That I believe matches what I have here. Yep. OR and Sol. So the first thing we're gonna try to do is we're gonna create a position in this pool. So first, let's make sure we have the pool saved here, and this is where here in Gateway we actually I added endpoints to add pools and find pools. So let's find the pool using this address. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I need to fix this. This is like not working well. I don't know. There must be some kind of issue, either in Docker or in source. But yeah, let's just add let's make sure, let's see if the pool is here or not. Let's see. So clam. I think I just add. I think I'll find the pool already because we just added. Yeah, this is what we just manually added. So okay, so it has a pool. So great. So let's go ahead and then actually add address pool. Make sure we can add the pool. So first, let's try to use let's try to use for this. Let's try to use MCP for this. Okay, so let's see check my portfolio balance. Oh. The first thing I would try to do is I would look at data source. So if you type in give you all the pools across the network that contain the token. So this is a good way just to find what are the most liquid pools in the market, because they typically sort by liquidity. So you can see the most liquid token, the most liquid pool for OR right now is in Orca. There's 1.45 million liquidity there, and there's a bunch in Meteora as well. So it's kind of like, now let's assume that you wanted to do Meteora. Then if you go to our pools with the highest, well, it depends on what your priorities are, because if you just want to earn the highest yield, it's kind of like when you earn when you earn yields, you're always taking some type of risk. So the pool, if you look at the OR pools out there, they all differ in terms of in Meteor in terms of APR, but usually it's the APRs are highest for the smallest bin step pools. And the reason is because with the smaller bin step, it forces you to kind of put a narrower range. And so basically the people who are placing narrower ranges in these bin step pools, and they're placing wider ranges in the larger bin step ones. The other one is fees. So obviously you want the highest fees, but because of the routing algorithms that occur on Solana, the lowest fee pools tend to get the highest volume. So there's kind of a trade-off. Do you want to be in a higher volume, lower fee pool and kind of trade more, or do you want to be in a like a higher bin step, like a lower fee pool, like a higher fee, higher bin step pool that will trade less? So honestly, I would say there isn't a lot of, like, if you're looking at the most liquid pools, there usually isn't a huge difference in the fees earned, because you also don't want to be in a super liquid pool, because then trades don't find it. So there's a lot of considerations here. But overall, I think it's actually more important to define, just find the most liquid pool for the token you want to trade. And and then it's more important to define the price bounds that you're exposed to, because this OR token, in most tokens like OR, are extremely volatile. It's like if you look at this token, it's been like going up and down like 50% in the last few days. So it's kind of like, I would say, that's why, yeah, I would not advise probably, kind of like, unless you have some type of bot strategy or something like that, you probably don't want to be in the lowest bin pool, because if you add a pool, let's say I add, let's say I create a full win range. Right now, this full price range in the 20 basis point bin set pool is from 1 to about 1.15 sol to or order sol. So that's like a movement of like this. That's like movement of like here, like 1 to 1.5 would be like that. So it's kind of like, you look at it, if you just kind of zoom out a bit and look at the price, like a range in, like this kind of range, this kind of range where you're going from 1 to 1.5 is basically this box over here in the chart. So this price can skew very widely. On the other hand, if you go into a wider pool, so let's say we go into the SOR or SOL, call it like, let's say, yeah, maybe this one here. See, this one here is 400 basis points, 0.4%. It's only 0.4% per day. But if we add a position here, full range, it would be, this one would be, 0.35 to 0.51. So this range here is more like this. Oh, oops, I should probably drag the middle one. So yeah, so now if you look at this range is much more, going to be much more effective at kind of covering, like absorbing the volatility that happens. But now the on the other hand, like, so, but you will earn less fees as an LP. So if you put it in this 400 basis point, you'll earn average of 0.7%. If you're in the 20 basis point pool, you're averaging more. So it's kind of like, I would say, yeah, like the best consideration, I think, in terms of pool selection is more like, what is your price range? And so you want to set your price range, kind of given like the risk you want to take, given where the price is. And then once you have the price range that you're comfortable with taking, and then you should look and see what pools are available, which ones are the best ones for me to define that price range and earn the highest fees given all the pools out there. But I think what you don't want to do, you don't want to just kind of pick a pool and set a range there, because then you're kind of making the decision based on the pool parameters instead of what's happening to the token and the price. Okay, so yeah, like I said, define the price range and then do the pool. Now, well, we're gonna be doing something different. What we're doing is we're trying to create a strategy that will automatically rebalance. And so that's why it's like, for us, we actually probably want to go into the lowest bin step pools, like this one, because we're gonna rely on our algorithm in order to kind of like rebalance once the price is out of range, and try to kind of like continually stay in range using a bot instead of rebalancing manually. So that's why I'm picking this pool. Okay, so now that we have a basic understanding of what we're going to do. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to try to have a strategy that will just automatically just like take the SOL, take some portion of the SOL, the OR and SOL we have, create a position, and then just kind of manually move it around. So first, before we actually create the strategy and run the script, let's close it using the MCP, and let's see if just the basic action can work on its own. Okay, so let's go to the API here. And so what we're doing is we're going to be calling this CLM trading function to open a position, and then we will close position. Now we could just input the parameters here like this, but let's try to use MCP instead, and let's ask it to create a position here. Open a position for about $10 US worth. Okay, with I'll use better grammar here. With about $10 worth of ore and soul, and create a position with, let's say, kind of like 2%, call it a 10% wide position in the ore soul meteor pool. So let's see. Yeah, find the pool. It should be able to find the pool because we just added the pool. Okay, so found the pool. Wait, actually no. Don't find the pool. We already have the pool. Why do you need to do this? Sorry. Okay, no, it did find. That was the right pool. Okay, yeah, we already. Okay, now. So, a lot of So now it has a position. So the reason we do this is, like, obviously we could have calculated all this ourselves, but what I'm trying to test here is, like, what can the AI do on its own? And so when I'm creating an agent, I want to kind of give it instructions like this, and then hopefully it will be able to do this on its own without asking me for feedback. So, a lot of the process initially when you're trying to create the bot, an agent, I think, is taking action that you want the bot to automatically do, and just going through and just making sure that you can execute it, as a single action using the AI. Because this, for instance, right now. See, so this is kind of weird right now because it used my balances. Okay, what? Okay, I've already added. I think I've already added my Solana wallet. Huh. No, I haven't. That's weird. But how did it... Okay, all right. Well, oh, that's right. I think I deleted all the action. Okay, that's right. I think I might have... I think I reset everything earlier. So let me... Huh, okay. All right. So let's add a wallet then. Let me... I thought I did add a wallet. I do have a wallet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I thought I didn't have a wallet, because I added a wallet before. Okay. Okay, what is a tool? What is a failure? Not found. Wait. Use the MCP tool. Yeah, it's trying to crawl the endpoints directly instead of trying to use the MCP. You don't have the extra params. Hey. You don't need extra params. This is not correct. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna open it using the API directly. Unfortunately, yeah, this might be a different version. We might have some versioning issues here, but yeah. Okay. So basically, what it's actually trying to do is just call this route here. This called gateway CLM open. So let me actually try it manually because yeah, there might be some issues with this that it's going to call. And this route is actually just calling the same route that happens on gateway over here. So basically, yeah, there's a Meteora open position endpoint. So yeah, part of it is like, let's see, open position for 500. Okay, let's just create this manually. Okay, so let's go here and let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. Here's what we're doing. We'll just put Meteor here. We'll add the max. Okay, so if we did create a position, it looks like this, and so we'll do the same thing over here. So pool address. Let's go 0.1. Let's go 0.1, 0.1. It's easy. And then slippage print wallet address. This is extra params. Oh, okay, got it. Interesting. Okay, so we do actually have interesting. Oh, so okay, so we actually should be able to add the strategy type, but I'm not going to add this in. So let's basically this should help us figure out what actually going on because this in theory should work. So I also open the gateway logs at the same time here, so we can see what's going on there. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to run this and see what happens. Whoops, I spelled Meteora wrong. Non-base character. What does that mean? Oh, okay, I know. I might have added the pool incorrectly to the list. That's probably what happened. Is this right? Okay. All right. You know what? Let's do this. Let's actually try. I'm trying to do a little more basic here, just so I don't waste everyone's time. Let me try to do this. I'll just try to use the Hummingbot gateway I have here already. All right. I'm just our dev server. I'll run Hummingbot just like the Hummingbot normally. I created this script last time to manage positions, so I'm going to move this one to desktop, and I'll check out development again. Okay. All right. So yeah, I had something screwed up here. So let me try to just do this again. Okay. The fuck? Oh, okay. All right. So, sorry, let me just clean some stuff up here. Okay. All right. 1 second. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. What? Fuck. All right. So sorry. We just made it. It's like updated Hummingbot with the SSL fixes. So I think there's some issues with my Hummingbot server as well. Okay. So give me a second. See. Let me answer a question from Raj while here. When you're talking about how to select a pool, are you trying to determine a range you believe the price will be market bound? You're trying to set pool limits to the capitalist range. Yeah, I would say it's very it's an art, not a science, because it's kind of like you're not, you know, you're not trying to predict the future, right? It's like, but I would say, yeah, there is generally, usually I try to set ranges depending on my rebalance interval, and if I try to set a range that I don't want to rebalance in, not so often, maybe like once a week or so, I try to find a pretty wide range, because it's kind of like it's kind of like the reason I'm doing this is because I want to earn fees, right? So if I keep on rebalancing, then my fees are going to be eaten away by the rebalancing cost. So it's kind of like the balance is I will earn higher fees if I am in a narrower range and if I'm a lower bin step of a higher bin step pool, but the trade off is I have to rebalance more often. So that's why I think it really comes down to your strategy, which is like, how often do you actually want to rebalance? Are you an active LPer where you're kind of rebalancing, a few times a day? A lot of the folks in the Meteor LP army take that approach, or is it more of like a lower frequency investment strategy? And that's why. So I actually recommend, to be honest, like I would say, you want to start fairly conservatively. So you probably don't want to start with like Orasol, because like making a market on a very volatile coin like this, LPing, is hard. Instead, I would actually start somewhere like Sol USDC. So Sol USDC is probably the easiest place to start, where you can just basically like Sol USDC. You can say you can pick a pretty wide range. For instance, let's say probably not this pool, but if you want to start off, I would pick a pool like, let's see, let me let it load. Yeah, I'll probably pick pools like this, like 100 bin step, like this, where let's say if you add a full range position here, let's say I added all my Sol, Yeah, this is USDC Sol. So let me flip the price thing here. Here we go. Yeah, so yeah, this range is like 140 to like 280. You know, so that's a very big price range for Solana. So it's kind of like if you were let's assume the price doesn't drop farther, but if you deposit here, my guess is your position is likely going to be active for months. You know, because this price range for Sol is pretty wide, and so and then you can, and then you're still earning something like 0.15% probably per day, or if you want to kind of like take a more aggressive strategy, you could go into, let's say, the 20 bin step one, add a position here like this, and now it's like this is more like so this is 143, 140, 164. So it's kind of like there isn't really. Raj says, I feel like a good approach is to search for code integrated coins, and when the code integration breaks, initiate a rebalance. Yeah, you would think that, but I would say I think finding stable code integrations is very difficult across crypto. What the way I use this is I don't provide liquidity for Sol pairs. So I only provide liquidity for coins that with a Sol quote token, because there's a higher code integration or correlation between coin to Sol than coin to USDC. And what I found is it's kind of I'm not getting paid enough to take the additional co-integration risk. Because it's kind of like every coin is correlated. And so I think the key is, in my opinion, I would say it's hard to like rebalance based on changes in that. I think what you actually want to do is find coins which have a tight correlation, and then provide liquidity for those. So for example, Met Sol will have much lower impermanent loss than Met USDC. The reason is because when Sol goes down, Met goes down. When Sol goes up, Met also goes up. And so that's why there is a difference in yield here, but it's like I feel like I would need to get paid a lot more in order to make a market for USDC pairs. So that's why I basically don't make a market at all for USDC pairs. But that's why I would say my main lesson from an LP perspective is you actually want to avoid rebalancing when possible, unless you have a strategy for rebalancing which you've proven actually works. So that's why I do think that it would make sense to run a simple strategy just on a pool like one of the lowest, basically high volatility, high fee pools where you can kind of just chase the price around and hopefully provide liquidity, and hopefully you're not losing that much on the rebalancing. But I think how you rebalance, when you rebalance, what percentage of the pool do you rebalance, all those factors are really important if you're doing some type of strategy. So that's why the first thing I want to do is just run a script on this pool and just see if it works. But I'm actually getting some issues here. Okay, got it. File not found. What is going on here? Let me just figure out what the issue is here. I think there's some. Okay, so we have Hummingbot, and then we have Gateway running on. Let's see. Let me turn off the API here. Okay. So I think we shut everything down. This is not running anymore. Yep. Okay. So we want to make sure we have Gateway running. So I'm going to go back to the simple way of doing it before, because I just want to try to see if I can get a script running here. And so because I'm making lots of changes, this is probably why it's not working. But basically, if I have Gateway running development here, and then I just go to Hummingbot and I start Hummingbot. Let's see, it makes rice. Use SSL false. False. Yeah, this should work. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. That's why. There we go. Yeah. So the issue was basically, we made some changes to Hummingbot in the development to fix some SSL issues that were occurring. So you have to put the right API host in the port here. Before this it was trying to find it on Gateway, which is like the Docker network, but now it's looking for it on Gateway locally. So I'm doing this because I just want to try running this script that I wrote. I wrote a script called where is it? Here we go. So I wrote a script called this one, called manage position simple. And the reason I did this was because I was trying to trying to manage a position that could that basically to track and basically open a position in a pool and try to kind of rebalance after move. So basically this is a very simple script. What it does is it just it basically says is there an existing position in a pool? Okay, if there is, it will monitor it. And then if the price is out of bounds for more than rebalance second, it will fully close the position and it will re-enter. Now, the when you re-enter, it will only do a single-sided position. So it's kind of like it will never actually swap and do anything. It'll just, if it becomes single-sided, it'll just try to place that range as close to the price as possible. Yeah, Eugene, if you say the point of rebalance not too often, what is the point of HB automation? Yeah, great question. So I would say Hummingbot is a general purpose framework that can automate anything. Most people, what they're automating are trading activity on centralized exchanges, order book exchanges. Because basically, if you're doing market making like this on, let's say, Binance, you have to update your orders, right? So how do you do that? You do it with Hummingbot. So that's the main purpose of Hummingbot. Recently, we've added decentralized exchanges. Now, I do a lot of LPing personally, and what I found is just it's like the smart contract actually does a thing for you, and so you can rebalance, you can try to automate on top of that, but generally it's like you don't have to, And so what I'm saying is more like I think you want to automate what you need to automate. For example, if you're running a market making bot on Binance, you're going to have to automate the refreshing and the replacement of orders in order so you don't get killed as the market moves around, because order book markets don't but work a certain way. LP ranges work a different way. You're not creating an order here, you're creating a position with a defined price range that the asset moves in. So there's two approaches. You can create very narrow ranges and keep on rebalancing those ranges, or you can create one big range. If you're starting out, the big range is going to be easier. Does that make sense? But also the other factor here is that unlike an order book exchange where you can place and cancel orders for free, here there's a transaction cost incurred to do anything, to do a swap, to create a position, and so you have to take into account transaction costs so that you don't overdo it. So that's why if you guys saw what we did last week we were creating positions over here on PancakeSwap using the API, using everything else. But the reason I advocate moving to Meteor for some type of automated trading is because when you create a position on Pancake, there's an NFT that's created. The NFT costs you 0.1 SOL to create. When you close a position, you will burn that NFT, and 0.1 SOL is gone forever. And so it's kind of like you're already starting with your hands tied behind your back. If you try to create an automated strategy on PancakeSwap Solana, you're losing money on every trade. So that's why you're better off starting with Meteora, I think, where it's a different protocol for adding and removing positions, and instead you basically get the full rent back, which is about 0.006 SOL, unless you're doing something weird like creating bin arrays. So I would say I think if you're going to start automated trading, right, I think it's first important to figure out some strategy where you can make money over the long run. And so what you're automating is you're automating that strategy. You're not automating stuff for the sake of automation. You're automating something that you're confident works at a small scale and that it might work at a larger scale. So that's why I think it's like kind of like, that's why my overall advice is, if you're going to be doing LPing, don't start with Hummingbot. Just do LPing. And once you're familiar with LPing, then you should be able to use Hummingbot to automate some piece of it. Could be finding pools, could be opening pools and closing positions. But yeah, you want to automate what you already are comfortable doing is what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So what we're doing here is, like I said, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take this OR Sol pool, and we've already established with the strategy. The strategy is just basically creating positions and trying to, just farm the yield that comes from LP fees. So what I did with this script was a very simple script that will just monitor the position, and it will just try to rebalance the position if it's out of range. So let's see the configuration for the script, and let's just run the script, because after we have the script running, the next process is actually getting the MCP server to know when to start the script to manage running this script for like 10 different pools. But before we do that, let's try to make sure that the initial kind of automation works. So this one, I think I have a for already. Actually, this is Sol. Let's do Sol. Okay, and let's do Meteora. Okay, so yeah, we use base amount, quote amount, part 1, position width, let's say 10, rebalance, and then actually I will, yeah, I think it has a pool address already, so I'm not gonna give it to that. So this should be enough. So let's start the script. Okay, so let's make sure we have the balance Solana. Okay, so do we have, I don't know why you don't have any core tokens. Oh, okay, let's add the OR token. I thought I did update it. That's weird. 1 second. Okay, let's find this. Okay. All right. So we added the list. So we have. Okay. So now we've got a token. So now let's go ahead and try the balance again. Okay. So now it picks up the OR token. And then now let's check, make sure we have the pool. We actually can use a pool address, but it's a good idea to make sure we have the pool anyway. Okay, yeah, here, let me add the pool over here on Gateway. Let's try to find that again. Okay, so now the pool is there. So now we should be able to go and run the script. So let's start the script. Yeah, it's a USDC, but I think I added Sol to this one. Yep. Okay. So let's see if it works. Just got the pool address. Yeah, so it's going to create a double-sided position. And submit the position. And let's see if it worked. Has failed. Okay, it did not work. Okay, so let's see why it failed. So yeah, unfortunately, did not work. Let's see what the error is. Ah, yes. The good old, I forgot to update with my Helios key again. So that was let's stop the bot. This always happens when I always forget to update my Helios key when I start the bot like this, and because I think I reset it recently. All right, give me 1 second. Let me get my Helios keys and over here. Okay. All right. So let's add Helios and invert keys. I'll add it here actually. Just to show you, you can do this. Config Helios. And then I also need to configure using the key. Oops. Yeah. It's an update RPC provider Helios. All right. So that's the one line action. Okay. So now. Okay. Okay. Restart Hummingbot, and now I. Helios key, it should actually function. Nope. Internal server error. Again, failed again. Let's see what the issue is. Oh, interesting. This is actually a... I actually do not know what this error is. Never seen this before. Interesting. Okay, so let's go and debug what's going on here. So we have, because we can actually do everything that we did here manually through the pool. So let's go ahead and first, it looks like I actually had some issues with the pool, the owner. Interesting. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this actually. Let's try just try using API and doing it ourselves and see what the issue is. So for first, let's figure out our positions. Okay, no positions. That's correct. And so pool info. Let's get the pool info for this position, which is over here. So, oops. So then we'll fetch the pool info like this. So, yep. So here's the pool info with the bins. And then we're going to be doing this. Yeah, so we'll be creating position here. So let's try to create a position here using the endpoint and see if we get the same error. So first we'll quote the position. So 1 point. Yeah, so yeah, part of it, I should try to see what prices we were using here. But this error was, it looks like it hadn't even started creating a position yet. So that's actually very strange. Let me actually try running that position again. Let's try running that script again and see what the error was. Stop. Okay. All right. So yeah, it looks like it couldn't create the position for some reason. So yeah, it probably couldn't set the price. So I think first thing we'll do is let's actually just do it manually. So let's say if the current price is, let's see, add position. If we were to add a position manually, and let's say we were doing, let's see, max. Yeah, so let's say 1.1. And so that should be something like this, right? It should be like, yeah, if the current price is 1.08. Then temp. It should be like yeah, it's like 1. Yeah, it should be like 1 to 2. My God, 1.1 or 2. So let's try to create a position just in this pool and do it manually using gateway, and we can try to verify why the script then failed afterwards. So first I will add the pool here. Pool address. So lower price will be something like 1.07. 7 maybe, and upper price should be something like 1.1, 1.12 around that. That's actually less than 10%. That's actually probably more like let's just do a bit more. Let's do like this is probably about 10%. Like 1.06 to 1.16. Okay. We got the pool. We have the right amount of base in quotes. Okay. By 1, and then we use 2, and then we can select the strategy type, and we'll just use a flat one for this. So let's see if this works. What's going on here? Okay. Oh yeah. So creating this one should actually work. So let's just go ahead and create this. Okay. So I've got the pool address here. Okay. So we said we said 1.06 to 1.16. So 1.06 to 1.16. So this is basically the exact same. Actually be helpful for this, because let's say it's like there's something wrong with the script, or it's not doing correctly. The MCP server should be able to help us fix and diagnose these issues. I think there's some weird version issues, but it's like what I do want to be able to take this action by running the MCP server, because whether I do it manually like this or whether I'm running a script, the MCP will help me do it more reliably and fix any errors. But let's go ahead and do this. This actually should work. But I think this will help us. Yeah. So what is going on here? This is weird. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So there is something that unfortunately I think I know what the issue is actually. I think this has to do with the fact that this OR token is some kind of I think it's an issue with the token itself, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a bit more debugging on this, but let me see if this happens with the other tokens we have. Well, I'm going to create a position with the Met token to see if it's something. Yeah. So I think what the issue was is something related to this OR token. Yeah, it's actually not a token 24 token. Interesting. Yeah, I really don't know what this issue is. Actually, wait a second. Let me actually ask Claude. Let me ask Claude with this. See if we can figure this issue right now. This is kind of bugging me, because this shouldn't happen. 1 second. So what we tried running was basically this route here. Okay, so now let's try to, as we do this, I'm just gonna verify we can create a position in a different pool. So let me create a position in the Met pool. Yeah, I should be able to create a pool like this. Oh, interesting. Hmm. Actually, according to Claude, this is actually related to the issue it was related to this this Helios balances issue that I had earlier. So yeah, I think this is actually a bug that I introduced recently with my um, um, my thing. But yeah, so now I think now it should work because it was interesting. Yeah, Eugene. Yeah, unfortunately there are lots of abstractions because I think ultimately I think Hummingbot is a framework. It's used in a variety of ways, and the heart of it is we have integrations to both centralized and decentralized exchanges. But because decentralized exchanges kind of are very different, we added a separate code base called Gateway that integrates to DEXs. So a lot of it is kind of like trying to make so because and keeping them in sync is unfortunately a big task. So that's why we actually do a release once a month, because before the release, we try to make sure that all the different components are working together. So if you use like the latest, basically the latest branch of both Hummingbot and Gateway, it should also work together. But because unfortunately, I'm kind of like in the middle of things. Like I'm doing some changes here, and I'm using some other version of another part of our code base over here. So even for me, I kind of get it can get distracted like this. So I think I did fix the issue. And see if we can create a pool successfully over here. I think I can stop this. I don't need to do this. So let's try to create this pool in Meteora, and see if that solves the issue. This is actually wrong here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, let's try to create this small position in Meteora just to see if Gateway actually works, because there might be some more things I need to fix. Okay, it's still getting this issue. What is going on here? Okay. All right. Okay, let's try this. Let's do okay. Let me actually do this. I'm going to go back to a different version. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, there is an issue I need to fix here in Meteora. Yeah, it looks like this is in development too. Okay. Yeah. No, it's there shouldn't be any issues between latest and development. I don't know what the issue is. 1 second. I think if I'm gonna sell some Meteora for USDC, and I'll I bet it's if I do this. Execute quote. Let me sell some ore actually. Okay. All right. So now I have some USDC in my wallet. Failed. Fuck. Jesus Christ. I can't fucking do anything today. I don't know why. Fuck this. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. It did confirm. Okay. It was just too slow. All right. So now I still two ores. Okay. So, but I do have some USDC now. So let's go ahead and create. I think the issue is, yeah, Meteor. I think I need to like fix some issues with like tokens because we've only been mainly doing testing. I think on the Sol pools. Let me confirm that though. All right. This should work. If this doesn't work, we got some major problems because like this was working very well before. What the fuck is this? Fuck it. All right. Sorry. Yeah, this is like, what the fuck is going on here? What the hell? Okay. All right. Let me try something else here. Let's do this. I'm going to concentrate on Meteora because what I found is the other DEXs, at least in Solana, basically have like at least right now, because they burn an NFT, it just adds more transaction costs when you're trying to open and close positions. Whereas Meteora uses a different model for the protocol. So when you open and close position, you basically pay very little in terms of burned costs. So I think I will try to make sure that this, I'm sure I can fix this bug. It's probably some weird liquidity provision config thing. But then, yeah, I think the goal is to kind of try to automate, make sure Meteor works correctly, and make sure that that you can control it using the MCP server, so that users can just kind of like add and remove liquidity on their own. And then I think the next stage is to kind of try to create a script that can automate it, and then eventually you have like an agent that can run that script. But yeah, getting like kind of like agentic behavior working properly is a multi-step process, and I think that's why I think I actually really enjoyed that article that I showed you earlier, the one from this one here, because I think that it's just an interesting observation in terms of like just like the process that you use to kind of like basically create a real like freestanding, free moving application. But I think this like initial phase where you're just kind of using AI to fetch data, I think is key. And then the second phase is like it's almost like this hybrid of agent plus human, where the agent is doing something very simple and you're kind of like giving it, and all it's doing is trying one simple thing, and it reports back to you what it does. I think is phase 2, or I guess phase 3, what they're calling here. And then the final phase is when you actually try to get the agent to actually take a more complex set of actions, and then also report back to you. But I think if you look every step of the way, the person is heavily involved. You're always kind of reviewing the findings and then kind of like fixing. But yeah, I would say unfortunately today was not a very successful live stream because I basically didn't do anything besides just plug away at these errors. But I feel like this is actually part and parcel of the process. It's kind of like there's no way to get something that's running, really well unless it's not that way. So actually, I actually don't know how to paste into the chat. Actually, no, I can't paste in that. Here we go. Paste in the chat. Wait. Whoops. Yeah. So here's a chat. But all right. Well. Anyway, I think we'll end today. And try to fix this issue in the Meteor connector sometime today, and before we move on. But unfortunately, yeah, some of these issues are just teething issues. But I think other ones are part of the process of kind of just creating a real agent. So hopefully this was helpful, and I think next week we'll probably live stream again, but I'll be in Argentina with Fede. So I think we'll try to kind of like do a review of what we built and try to maybe do an AMA kind of live stream like the one that we did last year around the same time. But thanks for tuning in. I apologize for all the lack of progress today. But I think again I do think that we're making progress, and in a few months we'll have something where you can basically automate an LP